Welcome to Edge of the Rabbit Hole. We have a great episode up for you this evening. I'm Mike Ricksecker, author and ghost story, with my co-hostess Vanessa Hogle and our lovely chat Shananigator Shana down in the chat room. We have Coyote Chris Sutton back with us tonight. He has a brand new show out. So we thought we'd bring our great friend out on here, let him plug his show, and talking about all of that. I mean, last time we had him on, we were talking about drumming and all kinds of interesting things. Mm-hmm. Chris is a renowned shaman, so always whenever we have Chris on, we talk about some very, very interesting things. So, Chris, welcome back.
Thank you, Mike. I'm renowned. I thank you very much for saying that. I'd never heard that before. Thank you very much. That makes me feel good. But no, thanks for having me on. It's always so much fun to be on the edge of the rabbit hole with you, Vanessa, and looking forward to having a great hour here.
Oh, absolutely.
Most definitely.
So tell us about the new show on Sacred Ground. Yeah. Jinx.
I know, right?
Okay, well, the name of the show is On Sacred Ground with a question mark. The reason I put that in there is because basically what the premise of the show is to go to a haunted locale and find out whether or not it's on sacred or ground that would be considered sacred by the natives before us, or just anybody actually, because of the amount of energy it has on it and that you feel through it. And so far, I've been to 3 different places, and one has been on the air. We'll talk about where it's on the air and that stuff in a minute. But so my premise is this: you got these places that are haunted as hell, but there's no reason why. There's no murders. There's no axes, no trauma. All this, it's a nice, like, take for instance for our schoolhouse in Iowa. Nice little schoolhouse, nice lights, nice memories there. Maybe a somewhat stern teacher or something like that. A shady past with a janitor, but nothing bad. But the place is haunted off the charts, and it's documented as being so.
Yep, I've been there. Yep, it is.
Yeah, you've been there. I saw your name on the chalkboard. Actually took a little picture of it and said, here's my buddy Mike Ricksecker. Yep. He's been here, and put that on the Facebook. But yeah, and so what I do is I go outside and I practice Sisiwas medicine, which is a medicine tradition of the Pacific Northwest coast, United States. And I do drumming and singing and things like that. And I asked, my teachers and things like that, is this an okay thing to do? And I said, yeah, as long as you observe what you're supposed to observe for your medicine. And, you're talking to spirits and trying to, to let them know that, you're there just to do good things, and that's okay. So what we do is we get people outside and we drum and we sing. We tell the spirits who we are. We each go around the circle and name ourselves and let them know we're here just to talk to them, to hear their story. We come in peace, that we feel badly for what's happened to them in the past. And then we start to investigate after we break that up. And what has happened so far is that we've gotten lots of responses from the spirits through geoports and K2s, all those types of things. Psychically, they start coming around very close to you, and they'll come around and stand next to you and watch you, and they will start talking. And again, over through the regular devices that people use. Now at Farrar, there's lots of native spirits, but I really think, and other people have felt the same way. David Roundtree, I don't know if anybody knows him or not, but he was on a show called Ghost Stalkers. And he and I talked about, they've gone to Farrar, and he and I talked about it. And I said, David, I think that there's something that was a spiritual place. He goes, I think so too. And so this year I finally got to try it out. So we did our ceremony and things like that. And there's just an old tree there. And Will Conkle, who's the caretaker there, figures it's about 265 years old. And we did the ceremony next to the tree, and the tree spirit actually contacted us through touch and through a geoport. I've never heard anything like it. and the voice was consistent. We actually heard the voice the next night through on a different box and a different frequency, the exact same voice, calling, one is asking for me and then saying, tell the story. And it wanted us to tell their story of what had gone on there. And people were, I don't want to say they were shook up or anything like that, but yeah, some of them were. Some people were shook up. Some people were, had their first real spiritual contact ever. Because what all this does is gets all the energy stirred up anyway. Whether there's, it's a spiritual place or not, and if you add the spiritual energy to it, then it makes it even more intense. Now, why is it that's more energy? I don't know why. Whether there's certain rock formations underneath the earth there, I don't know. All I know is that it is a very powerful. If you're sensitive at all, and Vanessa, you'd probably pick up on this pretty quick. It's a very, you just feel the energy to it. You come in there, and all this energy, I think, it attracts spirits into the school. And so you got spirits that are there one night, not there next, and that sort of thing. It attracts attention. But the native spirits stay outside for the most part.
Let me ask you, because of what you just said right there, makes me very curious. When we're talking about sacred ground, do you think that the areas that you've come across in your history of doing this, not just the 3 episodes, your history of doing this, that those who have that type of energy, those areas that have that type of energy, that could be considered sacred ground for whatever reason, do you find that those tend to have the most traffic, for lack of a better way of putting it, that they almost act as a portal or a paranormal train station, if you will? Yes,
I have seen that. Okay. You have, there's a place here where I live in Alton, Illinois. And it's an old haunted mansion. Nice family haunts it. Family lived there for years and years. A friend of mine owns it. And you'll be seeing there, but it's on a high point in the hill in Alton. But Alton's built on limestone, and we're right next to the Mississippi River. So you've got all sorts of places there that are real energetic as it is. And then, so you're up here in this place at McPike Mansion. You're at the very highest point in Alton. And you will see transients come in. It's like a way station. Everybody kind of comes in, let's come and check this out. And it does drive traffic because they're attracted to the energy. I've seen elementals come there. I've seen different spirits come there. Not necessarily bad or anything like that. But, it doesn't really, they don't card at the door. Whoever gets in, gets in. And so I've had a couple of instances at McPike where I was a little nervous about what had come through. While we were in the cellar down there, it's where most of the most investigation work happens. So yeah, it does. The energy seems to draw spirits to it.
I've wondered about that. What do you think signifies that something is sacred ground? What would you say is the main thing that would give that title justification?
That is a great question. I think, now I have to go back, and this is very subjective. It's because it's, can I pull out books and charts? And no, I can't do that. Looked at ley lines. No, I haven't done that. Having practiced shamanism for 26 years, you get a feel. Is this some place where I would do healing work and love it? Is this some place where I would do journeying and love it, or do spirit traveling? Is this some place where I'd love to do a ceremony? I can just feel it in my heart. This is where I would love to be. Then
so when you call something sacred ground, we need to make sure that the viewing audience understands there's a difference between sacred ground and holy ground by the church.
Okay, if you want, okay.
Because it can be misconstrued.
That's why I use the word sacred, not holy.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, because holy ground's been consecrated by the Catholic Church. And churches are interesting too.
Yeah.
Because what's the intent? Well, all this intent that's gone there is prayer and hopefully all good things. And so you get some interesting things in churches as well. But that's where I use the word sacred. And that's why I put question mark. Because it feels to me, if we get a lot of activity outside from the resident spirits and native spirits, and sometimes the mediums will pull up, get a shaman. We had a shaman for our mediums talked to, Kelly McCarville, who I trust her. She's
Kelly's
good.
in chat.
Yeah. Is she in chat? Oh,
She's in
good.
chat, yeah.
I didn't know you were there, kiddo. I said nice things about you. I didn't know you were there. But I do mean that. She is very good. And Kelly picked one out there, and I can confirm that from my own experience with that type of thing. But yeah, there was a shaman spirit there that was still looking after the spirits who were behind.
Gotcha.
Now let me ask you about. Let me ask you about Mineral Springs, because I know you've done drum circles down there. There's a vortex down there.
Yep.
Is that possibly sacred ground down there that just unmarked, unknown, but because you have done these things, you've picked up on things like that. We even have video when we were there with Lee Ehrlich of the vortex that's down there. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody actually shot a video. Actually, it was Alec Tillery. Shot a real nice video down there of us drumming and whatnot. And yeah, I do. I really do. It's hard to say because you got a layer of concrete over it.
Right.
But the first time, I just went down there on a whim one time and did the drum thing. And all of a sudden, everything got real calm. You could feel these spirits come up around you and looking at you, as I described earlier at Farrar. Same thing happened here. And you can feel, there's a different feeling. They feel like they belong there. And we call to them specifically, and I will use certain songs or say certain things to call them. And if they respond to that, that gives me a good idea. That's what I'm dealing with. And so, yeah, I think it is. I think it's a very logical place. Again, it's hard in Alton because the whole place has got so much energy going around it. But
it does, yeah.
I can only talk about the results. And every time I go down there and do it, I get some type of cool thing happen. So, there's something there.
Down there, when you and I were down there with the rest of the groups, and you were doing the drum circle, or the drumming down there, did you ever find out what that phrase meant?
No, I never did.
That was very, very, very bizarre because I don't know Indian language in any tribe.
Yeah.
And for it to be so specific on what it was, but I have to agree with Chris. That was the downstairs where you were doing the drumming.
Yeah.
And a couple of other areas down there were so concentrated yet calm, thick, yet you could walk through it is the only way I can describe it.
It's very gentle power.
Yes.
It's very powerful, but it's very gentle. We were down there one time we did that, and I said a few things in Lakota, and an SB7 showed the word hawk. One of the words I said meant hawk, so it translated it.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So wow. Okay, that's pretty cool. When something over, the a geoportal or like calls you by name, Coyote, or hey Chris, do this, that sort of stuff. It's like, yeah, you got somebody's attention.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of weird. I used to, I've investigated places for years now, and always the old-fashioned way, but I always felt the yearning to get out into the yard and to do stuff out there. First time I went to Farrar, I never went outside and did that stuff. And the whole time I was in there, I was thinking, geez, I should go outside and see what's out there. And I'm so glad I went back. I was pretty much obeying a command to go back and do that, from in here. And so I did, and it was such a cool experience. And then we did it at Hinsdale too, and that was pretty crazy as well. Hinsdale House in New York.
Based on all of the different places that you've been, and those that you would consider sacred ground, where would you say the most concentrated form of energy was?
You mean the most powerful?
Yeah, I like putting you on the spot, Chris.
Yeah, I can say it. I can say it real easily. Hinsdale, New York, at the Hinsdale House there, was probably the most dangerous place I've been in. Potentially dangerous. And that was up in the mountain. It's in the Enchanted Mountains, and they're not super high mountains like the Rockies, something like that. They're like big hills. But I was driving up, I could feel them, and where we were at, it was just it's almost like this thrum goes through your body half the time you're there, and then you let yourself, commune with it, and it's just incredible stuff. But that was so far. There are places at Cahokia Mountains in Collinsville, Illinois, that are got some neat, really strong places to it. I will say that. But just for an all-out, a big strong place, it was the hills there by the Hinsdale House.
Gotcha.
Well, we have some questions coming in from the chat room, so I do want to get to those. We have a $10 super chat from Tom McNicholas, and let me scroll back up here to what he said. He said, the sacred $10 super chat.
I love how he names them every time.
Yeah, it's always got some. Well, you can put comments in there when you do the super chats, and depending on how large the super chat is, you can put bigger and longer comments. So it's kind of one of the deals there.
It's kind of neat.
Yeah. So first question up was from Sean Oldsmith. What do you think of dream catchers?
Oh, I've used them before. Actually, I've got one by my bed now. It's something that I think if you're having bad dreams or having trouble sleeping, that you would want to talk to or work with. Any of these things are made, if they're made correctly, I'm putting my hands in front of my face, that they're made with spiritual energy, with intent. Our will is our power. Our intent is what we do with it. And so when we make something like that with intent, we're telling it what we want it to do. And so, like in the old, in the days when these were in the people in the plains and in the native encampments, tribes made them. That's how they made them. Like a medicine person would make these things, and to keep the bad dreams or bad energies from visiting you at night. So, if you work with one, get one that's really good. I mean, one that's well made, one that's made hopefully by a native craft person, and tell it what you want it to do, then you got a good chance of working. Now, is that going to be a for sure cure-all thing? No, but it's going to help you because another way in that it's also a focusing tool. So when you're looking at that and say, I don't want to have any bad dreams, it's also telling your subconscious the same thing. And so you only have this power, and it can be a very powerful tool, but also you have more power inside of you to change things, what's going on around you or inside of you. And so that's also telling that part of you, that spiritual side of you, let's let these dreams slide off someplace else, unless you absolutely need to have them. And then there's no stopping them.
Well, it sounds like the power of positive thought right there.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of this is. I mean, you take tools and things like that. What do I have? I'm sure I always got something laying around here. Okay. All right. I have my crystal here. All right. It's still got the price tag on it from its Raining Zen and Mineral Springs. Okay. Is there anything magical about this piece of? It's an amethyst. No. So mad. It's got these types of gems carry energy and to a degree. It's got 2 point. It's 2 point. That's kind of cool. But the most important thing about this little device here is what it makes me think. And if I'm helping somebody else, what makes them think that I can convey this energy. I'm trying to convey this energy because what I do, and this will happen if you're psychic or if you're anything, what happens is you're using spiritual energy to help somebody else through your will, which is your power, and your intent on what your actions are, what you intend to do with it. So if my intent is to bring spiritual energy into somebody to help them heal, I might use this just to act as a focusing tool. Focus me, let's say it's a certain part on their shoulder or something like that up here, and I'm going like that, and I'm focusing energy. Now if I'm getting the healing, I see this thing, wow, that's pretty cool, that's a level, that's spiritual stuff, it's like, it's energetic, it's really cool stuff. And so I'm also getting you to believe in what's going on by using something like this.
Interesting.
Okay, it's a tool. These are tools.
Yeah.
The most important thing is the spirit comes through you, and then there's so many different things. I mean, I've worked with witches, with Reiki masters, all sorts. They all do different stuff. They use different tools. In shamanism, you don't generally use a wand. Okay, that's what the Wiccans do, or the magic folks do. But if I might use a staff or something like that, it's the same thing. I'm using it to focus energy. And I'm using it
So
as a
same
tool.
concept, different tool.
Yeah. So I mean, yes, it is. And so much about this is comes through your imagination anyway. I'm imagining this is going to happen. All right. Now that's not just saying, "Ooh, I wish," because I've been doing this stuff for a long time. I know where the energy comes from. I can get the energy, and this is what I'm saying it's going to do. If I find somebody particularly irksome around me and they have really bad energy, I can ask my energy around my body to grow out away from me and block those negative energies that are falling off that person. It will obey me. The focusing tools are helpful, like whether it's this, a dream catcher, whatever. They're made with magic because you put your intent and your energy into it. That's what makes it special. It's what you see, and it tells you this is what it's for. That's what, to me, that's what it is. You know, it's a dream catcher is sinew and wood and maybe some stones woven in and feathers and things like that. It's great stuff. It looks really cool. That's what I put into it and when I look into it.
But one that's made with, like you said, with intent, not something that's been mass produced. Because you can walk into some local store or whatever, and they'll have like a whole rack of dream catchers. But
made in China.
Yeah, exactly.
$5.95. Yeah. No,
Right.
but Chris is right. It is all about intent. Years ago, when I tried to make jewelry, I was quite successful at it then, with the exception of I made a bunch of necklaces for people in a particular group, and I did not pay attention to the fact that my marriage was failing. I was getting ready to go through a divorce and everything else. I wasn't thinking that, but my energy was soaked in it. And I gave everybody these necklaces. I was so proud of them. You know?
I'd like to walk out crying. I don't know why I'm so sad.
Oh, honey. I come back the next week to group, and they sit me on one side of the table and surround me like the fucking Gestapo. Okay? What the hell did you do to these necklaces? Because out of the 6 I had given, 5 had worn them. 1 broke up with her boyfriend. 1 was having to move out prematurely from where they lived. 1 almost got in a wreck. All of these things that happened, and the one that didn't put it on was fine.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And that's when I learned firsthand, intent is everything, even if you don't know it. Yep. So if you're not in a good place, if you have too much outward stress, if you're internalizing, you cannot create something that somebody else is going to put on their person or put their faith in if you have filled it with negative emotions, even if it's unintentional.
Mm-hmm. I agree 100%.
Very careful about that. Very careful.
It's like people who do healing work and are pissed off or, down themselves. What do you think that energy, what's that going to do to your energy when you're trying to heal somebody else? It's going right in the person you're trying to heal, and it's going to make them worse.
I don't see how you'd be able to heal I don't see how you'd be able to heal somebody if you're being negative. That doesn't make any sense. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, people try.
Oh, yes.
I guess.
Try. Especially for a buck.
Since we were talking about dream catchers, I apologize to all those others who have submitted questions, but I'm going to skip a bunch. We'll get back to them. Pick up this one from Dawn. She asks, after you use a dream catcher for a long period of time, should you get rid of them or clean them?
You can clean them, I think. If you feel that, basically whatever your heart tells you to do, I would say you could clean them out pretty good for a while, but if you just feel like it's too full of garbage, then toss it or use it for a wall ornament. Don't use it for that. But yeah, so much of this stuff is, there's no shelf life for these things. It kind of, when you start feeling that it's not really working for you anymore, then it's probably not, and it's time to put it aside and get something different. Good
and
question.
Even if it would, you've already put that negative thought into it.
That's right.
Okay.
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah. From Betty and Wayne, I guess Betty primarily. How long has Alton had people pursuing spirits there? I mean, it's a historic town, so yeah.
That's a good question. I honestly don't know. I mean, I grew up here, And I've always heard about ghosts since I can remember. I mean, my parents weren't into that sort of thing, but
yeah, I'm just thinking, what, it was established early 1800s, something like that?
It was a town in 1836. Gosh, I mean, there's been different, because the country has gone through different phases with this sort of stuff, and you had the spiritual movements, and then you had all sorts of things going on the East Coast. I'd have to look at Troy Taylor probably be the one that would know that.
Well, Shana and I would tell you, and this is coming up in a project that we're working on here within the next month. The Milton Cemetery that's there in the early 1900s. Actually, no, it was late 1800s. There was basically like a 300-person ghost hunt. Because people were spotting spirits walking around the Milton Cemetery, which is right there across the river from East Alton, and there was like 300 people in one shot that converged on the entire cemetery. So yeah, it's been going on a long time.
I did not know you were getting into Alton history yet. Good. Okay, now I know that, so I'll refer to you too, but because you're a good researcher. But yeah, no, it's been part of Alton lore since I can remember, and I've been around for a while.
Yeah, just a little while.
Wow.
From Tim Schoen, is there a vortex on every sacred ground?
I don't know. I've been on somewhere I did not find a vortex. There's a vortex inside of Farrar, but I did found one out on the grounds. Of course, you could say, I guess it would be the same thing. I'd probably be a good bet, but I'm a terrible scientist, and so I do everything. I do everything subjectively. It's all feeling for me. I'm just trying to think, because I think, I know Edinburgh. I know I found one. Farrar, there's one in the house for sure. Hinsdale. See, I never look for them. I know that I guess I know they're there someplace, and I usually run into them. But I must admit that I don't, because the whole place feels like a big vortex to me.
Right.
So I guess, but there's probably more like a portal type of issue, and those things tend to pop in and out. So yeah, but I would bet that's probably a good bet. Can I swear on that? No, I can't. But I would say you're probably on the right track if you're thinking that.
Okay. From Judy Wilson, this is an interesting question. Does the drumming call all spirits or just the Native American spirits?
I think they call all spirits.
Yeah?
I think the vibrations and the singing, just the vibrations themselves, I think, is attractive to spirits. Now, when I do it, I'm pretty specific. I ask for spirits of the place, which means the spirits who are, who had lived there. But I've seen other, I know guys from, remember that show Ghost Lab with the Kling brothers back in 2008, 2009, back in there. I've heard them using drums before to try to get things stirred up. They did it, and they did that when they were at the McPike Mansion back in 2009. So you could probably use it. I give out my intent of who I want to talk to. Doesn't mean other spirits can't congregate around. That's certainly not. But yeah, I think that's very possible that the other spirits are attracted to it. Others might be repulsed by it. It just depends on kind of where they're at too.
I know that there's
light stuff.
I know that there's a lot of. I know people have been doing research in the area. I know there's a lot of speculation that the ancients used sound vibration a lot more, not just spiritually but also physically, to be able to do things within their community. So, I mean, do you find that with some of these spirits that maybe they're more attracted to the drumming, and because of things like that?
Yeah, your first part of that got garbled. I didn't hear the first part of your question. We all froze.
Everybody froze. All right.
We're like.
No, what I was saying, if I can remember exactly what I asked. Well, like there's been research being done lately, and there's a lot of people that speculate about the use of sound and vibration in ancient cultures. That not only did they use it for spiritual rituals, but that they also there was also physical properties that they use it for, whether it
Yes.
was moving objects and things like that people are speculating that some of these megalithic objects
Yep.
were moved by sound. So
I wouldn't doubt that in the least. And it's a Siwas medicine circle and a healing. If you do a healing circle, people walk around. You put a chair out in the middle, and the person who's being doctored sits in the chair. Everybody else walks in a circle, all with your drums, all beating the same beat, doing the same song, and the vibrations come through that. And that's one of the reasons it's like sound healing. I mean, you do other things as well too. You smudge with cedar and you use candlelight for the light of spirit to blow energy into people to help make them feel better. But it's the vibrations of the drums. Tibetan singing bowls.
mm-hmm.
I've sat in a room before with a whole set of those things. That's a place in St. Louis, in the Living Insight Center. Yeah. And the guy, Jack, he had he's got a room full of these things. And my son and I, Max and I, were in there one day. So he goes, "Hey, you want to do the bowl thing?" I said, "Sure, that sounds really cool." And he starts hitting those, and some of them are, some are about as big as your toilet, and others get about, big as a big wash tub. And, they're huge, and you can feel the vibrations going through your body. And it feels so cool. It feels great. So, yeah, could it be used? You really have to get some heavy decibels going to move stone. It could be done because obviously the vibration stuff could do it. But yeah, as far as medicinal properties, definitely invigorates blood flow, in your
Right.
tissues and things like that.
I've seen some videos out there where they're doing an ultrasound on the person. They have other people that are there chanting, and you see, and they're claiming that this is the case. You're seeing like this cyst just disappear. It goes smaller, 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 and then gone.
Yep.
Well, what you need to remember, though, I'm talking out of turn here a little bit on this, but whether you're talking about Tibetan singing bowls, whether you're talking about drumming, either way, it's involving two things that if you were to ask pretty much anybody what is the most comforting and has the most healing properties, is going to be heartbeat and music. And throughout time, those two answers are going to be the same things, from infant to death. The two things that are the most soothing and most healing are heartbeat and music. And if anything is going to open up a crowd in order to allow them to draw in energy or to attract energy, be it in spirit form, healing, or otherwise, it's going to be those two things. Mm-hmm. So the fact that it isn't just Native Americans that can be called during a drumming circle makes perfect sense to me, because it is a rhythm. It's a music. It is something that calms us, heals us, and opens us all at the same time. Therefore, we are more susceptible to outside energy forces and those who are willing to communicate.
I agree with that 100%. But because like the drum is considered the heartbeat of the mother.
Absolutely.
There's your heartbeat right there.
Absolutely. And it's they even make toys for infants that have a simulated heartbeat in them, because that is the one thing that soothes above all else. Now put yourself in a spiritual state. You're no longer of this earth. What's the one thing you would love to hear?
Heartbeat. That makes sense.
Heartbeat. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So of course that is going to attract in droves, I would say, any that are within hearing, in their way, is going to attract them regardless, because that is the one thing that is missing when you're gone. You no longer can feel it in yourself. You no longer can hear it in your partner. It's gone. And so if there's one thing that's going to attract you, it's going to be that comforting sound of life.
I like that. That's cool.
Thank you.
I can see that. Mm-hmm. I can definitely see that.
So we have a few more questions here from the chat. You guys are asking some fantastic questions tonight. So from Spooky, this is from Dawn. Does Chris have spirit guides?
I do indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vanessa knows.
Vanessa knows, huh?
I've seen them. Yes, she has.
Oh, you've seen his spirit guides.
GoldenEye.
Yes, I have seen them. I've actually met two Met one person before he died. My favorite one and my favorite story is my great grandmother. When I was 5 years old, my grandmother was in a nursing home in Missouri, and of course it smelled ghastly, and I was 5 years old and had no manners whatsoever. And so after being rude for a while, my parents would let me go outside and play, which is okay because back then you didn't worry. I mean, again, this is a long time ago.
Right.
And so I was out playing, and this old lady comes up to me. Obviously, none of it's a nursing home, and she doesn't act like she speaks English, but she's got these real fierce looking eyes and stuff. But she's really nice, and she hands me this broken doll thing, and it's got a hole over its heart. It's kind of strange looking. So I looked down, and I'm polite, and I looked up to say thank you, and she's like 50 yards away. I looked at it again, and she was gone. Well, I was 5 years old, so I really didn't think too much about it at the time.
Right.
So years later, I was on, starting my medicine stuff, and I could feel stuff around me at times at guides, and where I was flipping through an old family album, it was my dad's. I come across a picture of my dad's grandmother, who was dead at the time. And we went to see his mother, and it was her.
Wow.
And I was like, oh man, that's weird, because it stuck in my mind so strongly since that time, because I couldn't. When I was 5, I couldn't figure it out, so I let it sit there. And after a while, though, you just say, but all of a sudden it still bugs you, and so finally I saw it. And so, so I had seen her, so I know when she's around, I can feel her. And so one time, my daughter she's at that age, when she's in her 20s now, but she's at that age where it's about time for Daddy not to give her a bath anymore. She's getting too old for that. So it's probably about the last time I gave her a bath. And I can feel my great grandmother come in. I can feel her energy. And I'm like, okay, well, what's up? Hello, come on in. And I'm bathing Emily, and all of a sudden I can feel her kind of touching my arm and stuff. I said, yeah, okay, it's okay. So you can do it. So I feel this tingle go up both my arms to my elbows right when I was starting to wash her hair. And so she wanted to wash my daughter's hair, her great-granddaughter's hair.
Wow.
That's why we washed her hair. And, I have met her. Another one came in a car with me from Chicago one time. I've seen him. He looks after me when I'm doing journeying and healing work and things like that. A friend of mine who was actually at one time was a keeper sitting bull's pipe. He helps me when I need healing help, and so he is there. Matter of fact, they're here today. They're here tonight since they like being talked about, I guess. So.
Well, if somebody wanted to meet their spirit guides, how would they go about doing so?
I always tell people to do is to, one, don't expect anything. Everybody thinks they're going to get some big Indian, okay? And that's not always how it works. I mean, it's nice and everything if you do, but that's not any of mine, except for I got one shorter Indian. But the best thing to do is to put yourself in a quiet room. You can put on some type of music or something that arrests that monkey mind going on in your head. Something to get your head to calm down. Like I use drumming tapes, because if you sit there and drum for yourself, you kind of concentrate on two different things that doesn't work. So you can get a drumming CD or get one put on your phone for $1 from Amazon or something like that. It's no big deal. But play something like this. Anything that's soothing to you. It helps you calm your mind. Sit there in a room and put a chair next to you and invite them to come and sit with you. And it will take some time, but keep doing it. And just remember, think through here, through your heart, not through your head. Lousy tool, wonderful tool, lousy master your head is. It tells you all kinds of crap. That's where all those old parent tapes are stored out and tells you how bad you are. Nope, that's not where you want to go. You want to be through here, through your heart. And it takes time and it takes practice. But then you start feeling things around you. You see something on the corner of your eye, because they're not going to come right up to you and pump your hand and say, "Hey, how you doing? I've been waiting for you to meet."
Right.
They want to know what you're about. They want to know your intent. You want to use them to make good on the stock market, or you want to do that to try to help yourself and other human beings. And so all those things take into effect and where you're at spiritually. They are always there, though. I will say that. They just don't always come out to see you until you're ready. And sometimes it takes some preparation.
Now, I have another question about that. I'm sorry, Vanessa. I know you've been itching for a couple of questions here. But this actually, in part, comes to me from a movie, but also a question that I've had for a while as well. So the number of spirit guides. So, like, I've been told by two different people on two separate occasions, people that in different areas of the country, different states, had no idea who they are. I had 10 spirit guides. So I've kind of been like, okay, sure. I have no idea because I don't know if I've ever met them. But I hear that number and it's like, that's a big number. So does that mean that spirit guides somehow are attracted to me? Or does that mean I just really need a crap ton of help?
Probably the crap ton of help, I would think. No. You know, it's like this. I mean, you can have... The thing about spirit guides is that not everyone is there all the time. The one you need is there when you need it.
Okay.
And you don't have this entourage following you around. They have other things to go do, too. They just don't follow you. They're there when you need them.
I can't possibly be that interesting, you know?
Well, none of us are.
You could. You could.
But, you know, it's like is there a limit to how many friends you can have in this world? No, not at all. I mean, you can have as many friends as you want. Or as you're capable of getting, I guess. But, you know, it's all about what you need. And is there I don't know, there's no Mike's Ricksecker instruction book that says you get X amount or Chris Sutton or Vanessa, you know, we're all different. And we start measuring and people tell you got 10, you know, it's like, who cares? I mean, that's sweet that they told you that and stuff. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. But in the long run...
Yeah, I don't know if it really means anything other than the number 10 also follows me around. So I don't know if they're just picking up on the number that follows me around and attributed to spirit guides. I don't know. So.
Well, and one thing that people need to realize, and don't be... y'all might not agree with me, and you don't have to. But don't be surprised when you are in search of your spirit guide if one of them isn't you from your past. I know that sounds very bizarre. Yes, but do not be surprised if the guides that are helping you for the future are the you of a past.
Now, if you... I'm going to debate with you on this one, Vanessa, because if you told me that it was somebody that you had known from your past, like from a past life, that one, okay, fine. But your soul is in here, so how could you from a past life be interacting with you if you are here?
Well, the same way that you can have different dimensions, because how do we know? How do we know?
Well, okay, we could go to stack time theory and be like, okay, everything's happening at one point in one moment.
Yeah.
But
and how do we know that the soul is solid? How do we know that it can't be split? And that it finally comes to completion when no other lives are necessary. I have received so much guidance.
Hey, Vanessa, can you raise your camera a little bit?
Oh, sorry. There we go. Is that better?
Yeah, you're just like your chin was getting cut off.
Yeah, I know. I was slowly raising it.
Right.
I've received so much guidance and so much help from the me of my past, along with my spirit guides, that for me it's undeniable. It's undeniable, and I know it sounds crazy. I know it does, but I've actually had conversations with myself.
Interesting.
And I mean myself from.
I'm not touching that one.
About 400 years ago.
They say it's okay if you talk to yourself, but if you start answering yourself, that's when you hit the loony bin.
No,
I've seen
it's possible. I cannot say anything is impossible. I really can't.
It's interesting.
Like you said,
it's very interesting.
Time linear, time where time is not linear. String theory, pocket universe is a whole 9 yards. Hey, if that works for you, I don't feel that myself, but that's probably a good thing. You know what I'm saying?
I will admit it's weird. The first time I saw one of my deaths was very bizarre. It was very disconcerting.
I did not believe in reincarnation for the longest time. Even after I started doing spiritual work, I did not believe in it until I actually met somebody who I was very close to, who I had been with, who I was very close to in a past life. And there was no mistake in it. I thought, oh shit, I was wrong. Mm-hmm. But I cannot. I mean, I've got visions about it and the whole, but being together and being friends and stuff like that. Her death. I mean, it's all. Oh, it's kind of sad.
There.
Yeah.
Been there. I know.
Well,
exactly
and I didn't believe in reincarnation until I met Shana, and it was like, okay,
exactly.
yeah. So, well, we have some follow-up questions on spirit guides, and we're actually getting down to the wire here, if you could believe that. And we have a couple other questions.
We always do.
I know.
We always do this.
It's great. It's
great.
Great
time.
So following up on spirit guides, I'll do Donna's question first and Shauna's. So Donna asks, do you also have animal guides and totems, or strictly people?
Oh no, I have actually, Coyote Chris. I mean, there's one right there, the obvious one. I also have Bear for healing.
Oh,
I do healing. I met Bear in a journey one time. I was, in a journey, you go to like the same place. You create this place. It sounds kind of funky, but you create your own place, and you keep going back there. But you meet things there that you don't create. That come out through there. And so I was walking through my place one time, and a big tree had grown up in the path. I said, "What's going on here? There shouldn't be a tree here." So I went around it. All of a sudden, around come the other side comes this bear, rawr, like that. And so, okay, bear it is. And so I was actually thinking about a healing issue at the time, and so bear is for that. Hawk is for psychic type work, seeing far and things like that, and also a little bit of groundhog for digging up information. So yeah, definitely both are definitely. If you want to get an idea of who your spirit animal might be, you want to start watching around you a lot and see what kind of animals you see frequently, especially ones you shouldn't be seeing frequently. I mean, like you see sparrows in your yard every day. That's not a sign. If you see a red-tailed hawk like twice a week and you normally don't see them, okay, well then you got something to go on there.
Okay, interesting. The one from Shauna, would you recommend recording trying to connect with spirits, and have you done that?
I have not. You can if you want to.
Okay.
It's one of those things that whether you feel you should do it or not. It's just not something that's part of what I've been taught, and so I don't do it. I wouldn't tell anybody they couldn't or that they shouldn't. It's up to you. It's up to you and to your relationship with them if they're okay with it. So yeah. Okay. So it's up. That's how I would look at it.
And then I guess we actually do have one from Judy Wilson as well, and then we'll wrap up the spirit guide questions. Do each spirit guide do different things, or does each?
Yeah, in my case they do. Yeah.
Okay.
For me, it does. I've got different ones for different things. Like, my great grandmother tends to be kind of my seer. She had those eyes that look into that just bore into you, So that's kind of how I can read people, I think. And so she watches me for that. For healing work, it's my friend Jim who went to Spirit, who was a student of Frank Fulsgrove's, who was a great Lakota shaman. So yeah, for me it does. I mean, other people might be different. I need to be regimented, I suppose. They figure I need something like that. So you get what you need. So there's really no rules about who should get what and this, that, and the other. It's what you need and what Spirit will give to you.
All right, very cool. We'll wrap it up on spirit guides, and I think Dawn is the one that started that whole thing off. So thanks, Dawn, for starting a great conversation.
Thank you, Dawn. Yeah, that's okay. That's good.
From Denise Pradmore. Hey, Denise. Good to see you on
Denise.
The show. She says, Chris, does the drumming that you do, can it be done by anyone and get results?
Yes. You don't need to be like me. I'm hardly a musician. I've been doing it for a long time. Yeah, I mean, like anything else, it seems simple, but you have to work with it to get the results that you want. You have to be in harmony with your drum. You have to be in harmony with your surroundings. But yes, the bottom line is yes, you can.
Okay, we have a $20 super chat from Andrew Cox. And
yeah.
He says, I was never... Yes, thank you very much, Andrew. He says, I was never in Chuck's basement. Fake news. The Chuck Bakes is also in the chat. So
yeah, okay. Oh, Chuck.
Nice.
Right. Chuck's got a nasty basement there.
Chuck's our brother, so we'll give him a good time.
Yeah, bless his heart.
Great guy, great guy. So, what else do we have here? We have Tom McNicholas asks, can praying also provoke negative spirituality pretending to be good?
Can praying provoke negative things?
Yeah. Pretending to
Depends
be
how
good. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, again, it's what you put into it. Like, Vanessa and I have been saying, it's what your intent is. Whatever you do, okay, you're putting this energy out, and let's say you're all kneeling down there at the kneeler at St. Mary's, and you're supposed to be praying, and you're wishing the death of the Archbishop or whomever. It's okay. You're asking for a negative event. So yeah, I mean, it can bring about negative consequences. It's whatever you put into the energy you put out into the universe. Now, whether or not you're going to kill the Archbishop with your thoughts and feelings, probably not. But it's not going to do anybody any good either. So yeah, you can turn something like that. Anything can be turned into something dark, like Ouija boards. All right, are they inherently evil? No, they're toys. But it's what you do with them. If you want to open up the door to hell and bring out the demons and all that kind of stuff, and you probably will, you stand a chance of bringing out something you don't want to mess with. But it's just, it's all about that. It's all about will and intent. Is what you're doing.
Specific on the negative energy with what Tom was talking about, like you said, could you sit there and pray for the death of the Archbishop, and would it happen? Probably not. But because of your intent, could that negativity be turned towards you? And you suffer a series of mishaps or misadventures or problems. Abso-fucking-lutely, yes, you could.
Yes, one of my favorite things is the Wiccan threefold law. I love that. What you do to others comes back 3 times to you.
Fuck yes, it does.
I love that. I teach that all the time. I think that goes across into all the different practices. I think I believe in that. Exactly. It may not happen right away.
No.
You're asking me to get it later on. That's more like what's going to happen. But yeah, it'll come back on you.
You do have to be very, very careful. Again, everything that we've talked about all boils down to intent.
Yep.
If your intent, even if you don't say it out loud, if in your heart and in your soul what your intent is negative towards another, even if it's something as simple as, wishing that you're better than another. Mm-hmm. Don't wish to be better than someone else. Wish to be the best you can be.
Yep.
It is how you put it, your intent behind it, and what you want to achieve or receive from it.
Mm-hmm.
Cannot stress it enough.
Yep. She's exactly right. Yep. Watch what you put out to the universe. Be very careful. Make sure it's clean. Even if you think you're wishing for good things, I mean, just be very, very careful about what you're putting out there, and be straight, because sometimes the universe gets confused because you're confused, and all sorts of crazy stuff happens. Never necessarily bad, but you never seem to quite get what you want. And that's because you didn't focus on exactly what your intent was. Always be clean with that sort of thing.
And let me put it this way. One of my patron goddesses is Kali. One of my guides, one of my guides
she's badass, too.
Yeah, and one of my guides is Saint Germain. How many times do I call on them? None. They're there if I need them, and I know that, but am I going to use that in order to cause any strife or discomfort or bad situation for someone else? Absolutely not.
No.
Are they there to help guide me? Yes. Mm-hmm. Do I use it for anything negative? Absolutely not. And those who do, trust me.
Well,
they don't go well.
They're good guides to teach you how to learn to use power correctly.
Yes. And correctly means with proper intent.
Yep. Exactly it.
All right.
Word.
No, I'm sorry. I'm just looking at the other questions that are here, because I know we went through all of these. You guys had a lot of great questions tonight, by the way. So thank you very much.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay. I skipped this one. From Judy Wilson. This is about channeling. Do you let spirits enter your body to let them speak?
Just my great-grandmother. The only person I heard a spirit ever let, and that was on my arms. I am not a medium, for one thing. Never had the knack for it. Never particularly wanted to be one. I would not do that. probably just because of what I do. I don't want something else to have potential. It's like letting somebody in my house and getting hold of my gun or something like that. I don't want that to happen. And so, yeah, no, I don't do that. And again, if that is what you're supposed to be doing, I've got no problem with it because I know people that do it, and they get away just fine. It's not for me to do.
Yeah, Vanessa down there. Yeah.
Yeah, and do as I say, not as I do. Okay, don't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it isn't fun. It's not all fun and games, and you can get hurt. Mm-hmm. It's not cool.
It's okay to get messages from them, through your entanglement through your energy, and that's fine. But I mean, I've seen really experienced guys have to get let out of a house before because they said, "Sure, you can use some of my energy to manifest." And I had to put some guy together in a parking lot down in Texas one time because he did that, and the guy knew his stuff. He got careless.
Wow.
And next thing you know, he was literally wandering around, glassy-eyed, like he's stoned out of his mind. But he lost so much energy, we had to kind of help him get it back together again.
Well, and if y'all don't mind me saying so, for anyone who wants to see that in action, for anyone who wants to actually see what happens when you do that, there's 2 videos. Go to Beyond Perception Investigators, and there's one of me where it's happening to me. Matter of fact, I'll post them both on Facebook. And there's one where it happened to Gwen, and I had to pull her out. Please don't do it.
Yeah, it's tough stuff.
If it happens, fine, but don't seek it out. It's not fun.
Yep. We have a $5 super chat from Dawn. Thank you very much. She says, "Because I care." Well, thank you.
That's sweet.
We care about you too.
Always.
So, Sean Oldsmith asks, "What about a house on a burial ground?"
Oh, that's usually a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the problems out at the Hinsdale house that they have, and that place is just uber haunted, is that they dug a pond there and they went through some graves when they did it. And they got one serious problem with that. Now, let's say, and actually I've gone to subdivisions before where they've dug up native sites and put houses on top of them, had to work with some folks. If you're on top of a graveyard, I would do one, you got to let them know I did not build this house here and it wasn't my fault. But no, how sorry you are that this happened. You should leave food out as offerings and put it in a place where you're not going to go look, and do not go looking for it. Leave it where it is and do not go back and check for it. Go out and thank the natives each day for giving you such a wonderful place to live. In other words, make nice with the folks who are there, and hopefully that everything will be okay. I've seen some spirits get kind of reasonable about that, as long as they understand that the people that are there at that time are not the ones that took their land and did all these terrible things. So you negotiate with the spirits if they're bothering you. If you're not, leave it well enough alone if it's nobody bothering you. You can also make a medicine wheel out there, kind of learn what tribe was there and say thanks to that tribe, and just, be nice, like be a good neighbor. And hopefully that will do it. You can smudge your house occasionally. You can put, of course, I come up to the basement. I put wards around my house, but I put those in the ground. But that's for other stuff. It's not for that. You can, make sure your house is very well protected for good feng shui. Keep the energy floating and going. Smudge it frequently to get spirits out. Start at the bottom of your house, move all the way up to each room, and that sort of thing. Just be as good a neighbor as you can. Keep your energy flowing and keep apologizing to them. Otherwise, if it gets really bad, you probably got to move. Yeah. Someone else might be able to come in and reason with them. I don't know. It's like dealing with anybody else that's pissed off.
What about?
I don't know if you can reach them or not. What
about something like a park? I don't know if you know this, but there's actually a park in Jerseyville that used to be a cemetery. So something like that where, kids are playing, you got guys playing basketball. There was a pool there at one point in time. And there's other places around the country, like there's, that big one that was out in Denver that's now a park, and places like that. So do you just not visit the park or, What do you do?
Well, it depends how you feel. How you feel when you go to the park. I mean, it looks like thousands of people get to go to that park and don't have any problems with it.
Yeah.
So, so I mean, it all depends on your experience there. It might be that the folks, the spirits there, okay, it's there. At least it's a park and they're doing fun stuff and they're not living on top of us. So,
Well,
it all depends on what you find when you get there.
Wouldn't it matter? And I could be completely wrong on this, but if they research what was in the area, especially if it was native ground, they research what was in the area, the type of activity could be dictated by what tribe it was, because some were more volatile than others. So you really do need to be tribe specific.
Of the history of the place, yes, and all tribes had different motives, and some were hunter gatherers, some were agriculturalists. And many tribes, especially in the United States, as they went west to try to get away from the settlers and the conquerors, they would run another tribe off. So you have layers of different occupation. I worked in archaeology for 4 years near Cahokia, and they always called me when they found a body. Hey, Coyote, come here, man, bring that sage stuff with you. Okay. They did. That was one of my jobs. Yeah, I mean, I would. It's researching and being able to say and then try to find out the real name of their people, not what they were called, what they called themselves. Like the Cherokee, they didn't call themselves a Cherokee, they were Silagi. So you find out that, and so you speak to them and say, "Hey, Silagi people, thank you for the nice place here," and stuff like that. I mean, I would think it would make it just like it say, "Hey, woman," as compared to "Hey, Vanessa."
True.
Yeah.
You're going to take that a lot more kindly than than if I say, "Hey, Vanessa."
Yeah.
So it shows that you care. I mean, show that you care. Not that too bad we build a house on your graves. Well, too bad your ass is haunted. And
it's kind of the same thing we do when we investigate. We're respectful of the spirits and their past, their history. Yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Yeah. Treat people like you want to be treated.
Exactly.
Yep.
We are actually our hour is up. There's a couple other questions in here. I'm going to throw Jill Nibchinsky's out there real quick. What determines where a portal opens up? And then we'll wrap it up.
Oh, that's a good question, because I tell you what, some places seem to have a constant portal. Sometimes the damn things open up anywhere. My physics is awful. I learned it from reading science fiction novels. I honestly do not know. That is a very good question. That kind of stumps me. Now, I have been in places where there's been big vortexes, and I think there's things crawling out of that. It's probably like anything else. There's probably a good place there's a good reason why you can cross. There's a good energy spike there. Because what tends to happen when the portal opens up, things start spinning. I've seen with the dry ice and the experiments and stuff like that. So it's probably a good place. It's like a little energy spot that's a good place for a transfer from between dimensions. Would be my best guess. And again, like I said, I'm very poor at physics and that type of thing.
All right. And just this last one real quick, because I think it's a quick one. From Tammy Heitzman, could a language barrier get in the way of communicating?
With a spirit?
Yeah.
No. I mean, it depends how tough the spirit want to be on you. I always believe that spirits can understand us. They can understand our thoughts. They can understand our words. Now, am I totally sure, 100% sure? No. So it could be a problem. But again, with your intent, with your feelings, and how you say things, and that type of thing really makes a big difference. Again, that's where your intent comes out. They can feel your energy. They can feel your intent. They can feel what you really feel about them. And if you're bullshitting them, they're going to figure it out. So yeah, I mean, it can take a while if you can build that, but I think eventually you can become a more of a medium type of sometimes you just feel things and feel words in your heart, and that's how I interpret things, and I get little pictures in my head and things like that. It's just, you just kind of make do. You do the best you can. Sometimes they smile at you and do a certain thing, and you get, okay, I get what you're saying. You just know, and it comes from being with them a lot and from talking to them a lot, and to know what they're like.
But if you're watching a TV show and they're in ancient Greece and they answer in American slang, just letting you know.
She is correct.
Legit. Okay.
Well, I witnessed one. What was it? They picked. This is why I don't use any of this different spirit boxes. But one came across when we were over there at Spirit Mountains before we went live, because I was not going to have the spirit box on live. But it came across on the spirit box. That's what she said. It's like I don't think they were going to say that.
In 50 years, if y'all get "What's up, G?" That's me.
That's you.
Okay.
Okay,
So,
that's
and
me.
back on portals real quick. Chuck says portals are a pain in the ass. So
It can be.
yeah.
Story.
That's for sure.
So
You're right, Chuck.
all right. So, well, Chris, thank you very much for coming on the show. It did go by very fast. So
can I plug one? Can I do a
no,
plug thing real
absolutely.
quick? Okay.
On sacred ground, go ahead and
Yes.
you plug it. I'm gonna get while you're plugging it. I'm gonna go ahead and get the image up because I had it here and I just didn't.
That's great. Oh, that's Cahokia Mounds in the background.
Cahokia,
That's pretty
yeah,
cool. I
give
wish
me
I
Cahokia.
could go there. I like that. I wish I could go there, but yeah, I don't go to places they're known to be holy places, so I wouldn't go to a mound place.
So you wouldn't even go there. Okay.
No, I would go there to visit. I wouldn't go there to do anything what I do. Yeah, the name of the show is on Sacred Ground. It's on the Vidi Space Network and that's called the Haunted Space. There's different spaces on the Vidi Space Network. It's kind of confusing, but I will be putting Facebook posts out. The first episode was 2 weeks ago. The next one is going to be shown either this Saturday or this coming Sunday or Monday night. Elizabeth Saint's going to let me know probably tomorrow when all this is going to go down. I will put all that out. And I will be recording more shows. I've got one other one that's already been taped that will be coming out later on too. And then I'm recording more shows, and so I'll be getting those out there. So keep an eye out for that. I am also appearing at the Scarefest in Lexington, Kentucky on September 14th through the 16th. And then I'm at the Ash Bash at the Ashmore Estates the last week of September. And if that's near Charleston, Illinois, that's going to be a lot of fun. And then lastly, in November, I will be at the, where am I? Davenport, Quad Cities, Psychic and Paranormal Expo. And so, yes, about put all that stuff out as I go. I just try to remember everything.
Yeah, you have a lot going on.
I sometimes I've had more stuff. I'm kind of glad I haven't done anything for like a month, and I'm real happy with that. I'm kind of got messed up. Oh, that's good. But I got to get some filming done and things like that, and so I'll be doing something like you. You're always on the road too, brother.
That's true.
And
that's true.
Our world famous artist lady here, Vanessa, she's going to own the rest of us in a couple years, and so.
No, we hope so. I'm just kidding. Like I said,
I'll be your
we all
driver.
do well.
I'll be your driver, Mike. You can be your butler.
Sounds
Nice.
fantastic.
That'll work. All right. Well, Chris, thank you very much for coming on. We have to, I don't know if you want to hang out for the shout outs. It's up to you.
Oh, sure. Why not?
All right. So let's get to the shout outs here. And, all right. First off, the Super Chat Superstars. We have Tom McNicholas, Andrew Cox, Dawn, Chanel F. Did I miss a couple here at the end? Chanel F, a $5 Super Chat. She says, we are known forever by the tracks we leave. Thank you very much, Chanel. And then Robert White, an Australian $5 Super Chat. He says, my intent is that you guys keep operating at top performance. Thank you, Robert. Appreciate that. So,
cool.
all right.
Very cool, mate.
Yeah, absolutely appreciate that, everybody. All right, so let's get to the shout-outs. Of course, there's Dawn. There's Candy Orton. Hey, how's it going, Candy? Andrew Cox. Of course, Shauna, our chat Shananigator. Cannot forget our chat Shananigator. And then Donna Gordon, our Cheshire Cat, in the house tonight. There's Psychic Jen B. Good to see you in the house tonight, Jen.
Hey, Jen.
Beyond the Light Network, that's Chuck Banks. Good to see you in there, Chuck.
Chuck.
Everybody. Yep. Sean Oldsmith, also from Australia. Appreciate that. And there's Robert White.
Good.
Yep. Judy Wilson, thank you very much for joining us tonight and for all of your questions. There's Kelly McCarville. Good to see you tonight, Kelly.
Kelly.
Yeah. I guess we'll be missing Kelly this weekend. I mean, there might be a chance of an overlap because we're supposed to be at the Manila Schoolhouse. I'm still dealing with this fly.
Yeah, I heard you guys are going up there. Yeah.
Shauna and I are going to be there Friday night. Ghost Crier, which Kelly's a part of, is going to be Saturday night. So unless we somehow cross over a little bit early Saturday, we'll just miss each other. So yeah.
Well, Ghost Crier don't get up too early, so you're probably going to miss them.
Yeah, it might
Not
be
to
true.
Kelly. I mean, I'm more talking about Nick and Aaron and Jared. But.
Yeah. All right. There's Denise Pridemore. Good to see you tonight, Denise.
Yeah.
And Tracy Christian, thanks for joining us tonight. So we also have, there's Tom McNicholas. Deep Down the Rabbit Hole Patreon patrons was Tom McNicholas. So it was Tom McNicholas, Beat 3 Aerospace, Zippy Davis, BD Flint, Pamela Queen, and Andrew Cox. Thank you all very much. And there's Kat Gash. Hey, good to see you tonight, Kat. And there's Beat 3 Airspace. Thank you as well. Betty Lange, thanks for joining us again tonight. M. Labuda 61, thank you for joining us again. Jill Nipchinsky, thank you for your question. Chipper Terry, thanks for joining us again. Mickey Dole, thank you as well. And there is Shay Carroll, thanks for joining us again, Shay. And Dara, thanks for joining us, Dara. And let's see, there's Zippy Davis. And who else do we have? Dustin Samario, thanks for joining us tonight. Tricia Egley. Katie Palmer, thank you. There's Tammy Heitzman. Sean Gilmore is in the house. I spent part of Sunday with Sean out at the Gore Orphanage area. It's the Swift Mansion, not the Gore Orphanage. Who else do we have? There's a lot of people that were in the house tonight, so we do appreciate that. All of our Mad Hatters. I'm going to scroll back down. If I miss you, I do apologize. There's a lot of you trying to find it. There's Adam Tillery. Right at the end here. Comes out of the woodwork. Good show. Clap, clap, clap. Thank you. There's just
he probably just logged in too.
He probably. No. He just lurks. He lurks out there. Yeah. And let's see. There's Discord threads. Check out her stuff. She's got great stuff. Great.
Awesome stuff.
Yeah. And Fungi. There you are at the end. And Chanel F, who's a Super Chat superstar. I think I got, of course, Diane Hilbert, our Hunter Road Media Fairy Queen. All right, so I think that's going to.
She's itty bitty, Chris.
She is. She is. She's awesome, though. So we love her. All right, everybody. So stay tuned. Inside the Upside Down, we're going to be talking energy fields. So it'll be pretty interesting how they affect us on investigations, our equipment, all kinds of different stuff. So, Chris, thanks again for joining us tonight.
My pleasure, Mike and Vanessa. It's always great to be on with you guys. Always have a great time. Got a good bunch of listeners too.
Thank you. Yeah, check him out on the road and check out his new show on Sacred Ground. So, see you all in a few minutes.